So there's been all this news lately from SpaceX and Tesla, right? A rocket test over here, some new car sales numbers over there. But what if I told you they're not separate stories at all? What if they're actually all pieces of one single incredibly grand strategy? Today we're going to connect the dots from right here on Earth all the way to the stars.
It really all boils down to this one core idea. For humanity to have a real future, a long-term future, we just can't stay on one planet. So we're not just talking about better cars or bigger rockets here. This is about securing our survival by becoming a multi-planetary species.
And that's the big question, right? It's one thing to have this huge vision, but how do you actually build it? I mean, piece by piece, right now, in the real world. Well, the amazing thing is, the answer is unfolding right in front of us. And it all connects back to these three things. You've got the rocket, which is the vehicle to get us out there. You've got the car company, which is the economic engine on Earth that's funding this whole journey. And then you have this incredible technological plan that links them all together in a way that honestly could change everything. So let's break it down.
First up, let's talk about the destination. NASA's Artemis program isn't just about planting another flag on the moon. No. This is about building a permanent, sustained human presence up there. And to do that, you need a key. A really, really big key.
And that key, well, it's Starship. Every time you see a Starship update, that's not just SpaceX hitting some internal milestone. That's them literally building the hardware that NASA is banking on for Artemis. The whole goal is to make trips to the moon routine, and Starship is the only ride in town that's being developed to do just that.
Okay, so how do you take this giant rocket and turn it from a prototype into like a reliable taxi to the moon? Well, it's all about taking these very deliberate, very calculated steps on the path to orbit.
Okay, look at this, because this shows the massive leap they're about to take. We just got a peek at some new FCC filings, and they tell us that while Flight 12 is going to be another suborbital test, Flight 13, over here on the right, that's the game changer. The plan is for the upper stage to have an orbital profile. That means for the very first time, Starship could achieve a sustained orbit around the Earth. That is a huge step forward.
And this is a great way to see how they're doing it step by step. Each flight just builds on the last one. I mean, the suborbital tests gave them all the data they need. Flight 13 is going to test putting it into orbit and bringing it back down, and that experience is absolutely crucial for the next big challenge, refueling and docking in space, which you have to do to land on the moon. And the whole shebang culminates in Starship V3, the one that's designed to be fully and rapidly reusable.
So where does this fit in with what NASA's doing? Well, check this out. Starship V3's first flight is penciled in for May 2026, and that lines up perfectly with the Artemis 3 mission in 2027, which is basically a full dress rehearsal in low Earth orbit. If all that goes well, Starship V3 could be the very ship that lands astronauts back on the moon for Artemis 4 in 2028.
Okay, but let's be real. Building a future on another planet, that's not cheap. So let's come back down to Earth for a minute and look at the economic engine that's helping to fund this whole vision, Tesla. And right now, it's showing some serious renewed strength.
And the numbers here, they really speak for themselves. In the first quarter of 2026, Tesla took back its crown as the world's #1 EV maker, delivering over 358,000 cars. That puts them way ahead of their main rival, BYD, and just proves they've still got serious muscle in a super competitive market.
And this isn't just happening in one place. Take South Korea, for example, a 330% year-over-year jump. I mean, come on, that's insane. They became the #1 imported car brand in the entire country for the quarter, leaving giants like BMW and Mercedes-Benz in the dust.
And look at Europe. After a kind of rough 2025, it's just roaring back. In March 2026, things just exploded across the continent. France, registrations more than tripled. Germany, they quadrupled, hitting a new record for March. The demand for the Model 3 and Y is obviously still incredibly strong.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Even as Tesla is reclaiming its spot at the top, the company is making a huge strategic shift. They're closing one historic chapter to open the door to something entirely new. So Elon Musk himself announced it. Custom orders for the Model S and Model X are done. Think about that. The very cars that kickstarted the whole EV revolution, the ones that proved electric cars could be cool and fast and just desirable, they're becoming a part of history. So what's taking its place? This is the critical part. As production for the S and X winds down, Production for the Optimus humanoid robot is just starting to ramp up. And this isn't just a product change, this is a seismic shift. They're moving toward creating a literal workforce for the future, one that works here on Earth, and, yeah, eventually, on other planets too.
And it's not just some abstract idea. There's a very practical reason for this. That priceless factory space in Fremont, the very assembly lines that built the S and X are now being completely retooled for the Optimus pilot production line. And get this, the target is 1 million robots per year. 1 million! All right, so we've got the moon rocket over here and the robot factory over there. So how do we connect these two giant pieces of the puzzle? How do they finally click together to show us this unified, multi-planetary strategy?
First up, money. You always got to follow the money, right? Well, SpaceX is reportedly getting ready for what could be one of the largest IPOs in history, aiming to raise up to $75 billion. But here's the cool part. Reports say that up to 30% of those shares could be offered to regular retail investors, giving all of us a chance to directly invest in the hardware that's going to take us to the moon.
And this is the linchpin that connects everything. It's called a Terrafab, and it is an unbelievably ambitious project. We're talking a 100 million square foot chip factory. That's just mind-bogglingly huge. And its purpose is for both Earth and space, making the silicone for Optimus robots on the ground and for SpaceX's data centers up in orbit.
Yeah, the scale is just off the charts, and it's not something they're doing alone. This collaboration is bringing together all the key players. You've got SpaceX for the space angle, Tesla and xAI, Elon Musk's AI company, for the AI and robotics. And now you've got the heavyweight, Intel, jumping in too.
And you know it's a big deal when the CEO of Intel, Lei Botan, says something like this. He said, Elon has a proven track record of reimagining entire industries. This is exactly what is needed in semiconductor manufacturing today. So it's not just about more chips. It's about building the entire digital backbone for a civilization that lives on Earth and in space.
And that brings us to our final question. What we're watching happen right now is this incredible convergence of space, robotics, and AI, all being driven by one singular vision. So the real takeaway here isn't just about some news from last week. It's about asking ourselves, what does the next decade actually look like when all these incredible pieces finally click into place?